The problem with surveys is at the end of the day, you can ask Stefan, hey, Stefan, do you want a Ferrari? Sign me up. But now, is Stefan really going to pay for a Ferrari? That's a different story.
Hello and welcome to another coffee break episode on the Conversion Podcast, where we provide easy to digest and easily to apply insights on digital experimentation, conversion optimization, and customer experience in the time it takes to grab a coffee. Excited to get this kicked off. To start with, just a very basic question. Take us back, start with the user in mind. What's the typical, or even maybe I'll call it the traditional way that someone goes about buying, using ink? What does that look like? Maybe what are some of the classical struggles that a user has from an ink perspective?
Yeah, fantastic question. So let's think about the customer. What is role of ink in their life, right? The ink is a means to an end. The customer is looking to delight, create, learn, manage, transact with a print outcome. The role of ink is to fulfill that. Historically, a lot of customers have told us, and we've verified too, one of the biggest pain points with ink is they always run out. It's 7 a.m. Kids need to turn in homework. You need to print it. You fire the print button, printer is out of ink. The worst situation on a Monday morning. Ink is expensive. For a lot of customers, while the delight of printing is very real, the cost associated with it is prohibitive. And then the third is just the hassle and the stress of having one more thing to buy and manage. Which cartridges do I buy? Where do I buy it from? Or it's a trip to the store. So it's one more thing in their already busy lifetimes. So that's why, listening to our customers, we innovated on the HP Instant Ink service to solve these problems. We've attacked the problem of convenience by promising never running out. We've changed the business model from, instead of buying ink, you sign up for monthly page plans. That gives them the savings of up to 50% on ink, which is very relevant for customers who print at home. And then we've taken the hassle out, that you never have to worry about ink again.
Super fascinating. If I just dug into that a little, how were these pains identified, and did HP then shape the key value propositions?
The business and the product value proposition has been built generation to generation. We've done a lot of customer interviews. We've spoken to a lot of customers. We go through a lot of reviews provided by customers on web forums, Reddits, and Trustpilot, and all of that. We've partnered with Conversion You guys to do thousands of experiments to learn about what the customers are telling us and what kind of value prop would resonate, and how to build a value prop that meets the customer needs. When you combine all these methods together, it gives us a powerful sense of what the customers are telling us. And then the testing methods give us a way to validate some of our solutions to those at scale. And so those methods have always helped us listen to a customer's problem, come up with a hypothesis, test it, and scale it. So test, refine, scale, test, refine, scale.
How long has Instant Ink been around?
We've been in market for about 10 years now. We are 10 plus million subscribers, very healthy growing subscription business. We are one of the best case examples of a true monetized paid subscription service in the consumable space. And we operate in about 38 markets, mostly Europe and North America. We've essentially transformed a desktop printing experience into a fully cloud connected printing experience with no print interruptions. Printers were a desktop device sitting on connected to a USB cord, and you firing a print button from a PC. We changed the paradigm to printers becoming first-class citizens of an IoT ecosystem. This closed-loop, cloud-connected IoT ecosystem where the printer tells us when it needs ink. Our fulfillment algorithms decide when is the best time, and then we have a full supply chain network innovation to make sure the ink gets to the customer on the right time. Right?
How did HP introduce this and then start trying to grow it?
This is typical of not just then, but even now, right? It starts with what the customers are telling us and what problems to solve. And then the first instantiation is always a very quick pilot. I remember when we introduced the first time, we had a team that was selling the service to Best Buy customers by standing in store to tell the customers what it would take for them to sign up. They would agree to sign up. We captured their information, and then somebody somewhere in office was actually shipping cartridges. That's how we validated the value prop. And then typically the approach we do is we do user testing for various concepts and solutions first to see if it works. Then we do an in-market pilot on various offers, positioning solutions, etc., on a small isolated scale. And then we start building that exposure towards validity for scale. And then once we have the solutions proven at scale, we expand it to multiple markets. Right. So our launch plan was, we started with a very small pilot in the US. We expanded nationwide in the US next. Then we did North America, and then we did Europe in 3 phases. So over a 4 year period, we went from zero to 38 markets, but iteratively learning along the way.
What are some of the difficulties getting someone to sign up for this? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think as much as printing is a delightful experience, having to worry about printing is not something on top of customers' mind, right? So the printing behavior was ingrained in the market for 20 plus years. They had a set way to think about ink, they had a set way to think about where to purchase ink. So one of the biggest challenges we had was disrupting this ingrained shopper behavior. It was a big paradigm shift of you've done this for 20 years, you don't necessarily have to live through the pain anymore. So changing consumer behavior, which was ingrained, was a huge challenge for us. The second big element was time. When customers think about buying ink or replenishment for their printers, they don't necessarily think too much. We do not have infinite time to sit in front of customers and explain what the service is about. So a lot of innovation was with the design intent of if you had 5 seconds to convince the customer to sign up for the service, how would you do it? So that was the other big challenge in a limited time, a noisy retail environment, a customer attention span that's very small against a habit which was very ingrained. Right? So it's like, how do you disrupt this and bring the value and benefits out in a way that they can digest quickly, make the call, and then realize the benefits over time.
The decision to actually try to onboard people in the printer flow, was that always going to be a natural thing, or is there something that led to, hey, this is something we should try?
So, printer setup is one of our most successful onboarding channels. The hypothesis was look, a customer who buys a printer is bombarded with a lot of offers. Buy additional supplies, buy this, buy that, etc., buy warranty, etc. So, what we did was to this philosophy of building an IoT system is it's a feature of a printer. It's cloud connected, it replenishes automatically. So we brought this concept of like instanting is a feature of the printer available to you if you decide to turn it on and position it during printer setup. That changed the mindset of the customers. It's no longer an offer or a sales pitch. It's more about my printer is capable of doing this. Do I want it or not? The hypothesis was strong, but by no means we knew how successful we would be. And through years of experimentation during printer setup, how do you talk about the service? What kind of offers you want to bring? What kind of imagery that goes with it? Should you talk about the cost of supplies that's in there? All the full spectrum of experimentation from messaging, offers, value prop benefits. And we've experimented for 8 plus years now in printer setup, and that has led to our success.
8 years ago is when we get the opportunity to be involved with this and go along on the journey. I think HB Instant Ink is this amazing case study of product led growth. How did you go about growing through the product itself?
We really, when we started with printer setup, we didn't know how to position it. The first approach with conversion was it was an advertisement. Like if printer setup is done, would you like to have instant ink? It saves you money, 50%, never run out. And we got a certain take rate. But again, the customer feedback was, why are you bombarding me with offers during printer setup? So the next evolution was, look, we need to reduce the barriers to enrollment. Printer setup is not the time when somebody really wants to make a commitment decision. So let's take commitment out of the process. So we innovated around a free trial. 3 months, you have a brand new printer device, complete free trial on us, on 700 pages per month, more than you can ever print, ever need to print, etc. So we really unlocked the freedom to print with no commitment trial, and the customers could always cancel. So that was again, how did we do this? We did this through experimentation, where we said, hey, we need to reduce friction, bring a concept of a free trial, and we went into Ubi, did a true A/B test with free trial, no free trial, and we started seeing conversion uplifts that were like triple digits gains. And that's where it all started. And then one more example. Once free trial was successful, we said, okay, how can we reduce friction more? Let's go to a different kind of product-led growth model, which is freemium, which is, hey, you don't have to pay me a thing if you don't print. Right? So the commonality between both of this is we believe our value prop is real, foundational, and strong. So the philosophy of product-led growth is you consume my product. In this case, you consume Instant Ink. We send you cartridges. You love it so much that you will stay forever, right? Both these business model innovations happened because of our strong experimentation approach in partnership with you guys, Conversion, to test, learn, and refine. Even the free trial, even freemium, it was not like it hit on day one. The first test we did didn't do much for us. And then we decided to position it differently. It's included in your printer, right? Meaning there's no commitment required, etc. And then we started to see jumps, etc. So a lot of learnings along the way to refine from a paper napkin concept idea to a solution that scales to hundreds and thousands or millions of subscribers. A long journey and hundreds of experiments within that.
It took me about 3 years to figure it out, but just for listeners, what is Ubi?
It's out of the box experience. The industry uses the term quite a bit for any device unboxing experience. And then within the printer context, it's printer out of the box experience. So when you buy a printer and take it home, there's a process of physically unboxing, connecting the printer, setting up, and then going through a setup process for the device digitally.
I
And
want
I,
to add something because
yeah, please,
there's
Stefan, yeah.
something interesting here. How the progression of experimentation and modifying the business model to the point where now the business model is improving the sales of printers because these printers come with free ink and this service. So not only have we added a service to improve your printing experience, but now it's full circle. We're going back where now by buying this printer, it just makes my life so much easier because it comes with that service. Uh, so it's just a fascinating progression of experimentation leading to actually the total business model change.
That's so right on. It's like we drive stickiness to the service. Stickiness drives loyalty to the printing and the delight with printing, and then they're super satisfied with the device and the printer, and they go back and then go through the whole cycle, etc. Right? So we create a lot network effects in some respects around this device ecosystem. Right? Supplies helps printing, printing helps printers, and the customers go and buy those printers, and so that loop becomes a self-reinforcing loop for us, right? Because the experience is so seamless for our customers.
In terms of like the big growth bets or levers that you're pulling, how does HP go about identifying what those might be?
With conversion, we've established a very democratic experimentation process. So think about all the creative functions within the organization: marketing, design, product, growth teams, retention teams. So all of them come up with ideas, and we've enabled a set of practices and democratized the experimentation process where every idea gets evaluated for its strength of the hypothesis and then gets tested, right? So that's one. The other big lever for us on driving new growth vectors is a very strong set of analytical insights about the customer. So our subscription business is powered by very strong analytics about what every customer is doing with respect to their service and printing. So we use a lot of machine learning algorithms, predictive models, etc., to understand where different customers are in their process, and then take those insights and drive some growth vectors. I'll give you a simple example. Should we be creating a 75-page plan? If that's the question, would it drive growth and retention? So that the insights start from our analytics, what customers are using, what are the plan movements we see. We would go to conversion, we'll work with you guys and say, hey guys, let's try a 75-page plan. And then we will find a way to position it in the test, get a preliminary read of what happens either on acquisition or on retention. Once we start to see the signals we would like to see and we like them, then we start a broader scale plan. Let's experiment at statistical significance. Let's get a lot of volumes in multiple markets, validate it's good to go, and then validate the customer lifetime value, which is the end metric we target against, and that starts scaling. So I think the scaling process, the ideation process, the growth process is a blend of democratic ideas from everybody in the company who's associated with the service to a very insights driven bottoms up process about what each one of our customers are doing. So we marry the two together to give us the best outcome.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to draw on here is that it wasn't just like one test that we did to get to this very specific answer. It was a multitude of tests that gave us a much better direction as to where to go. It wasn't just like we turned this one thing on and we're like, yes, we have the answer. It was more so a sum of experiments along the way that guided us towards the right way.
I think what makes the team around Instant Ink really unique, in my opinion, is that culture you're talking about, which is both lots of people are bringing ideas, but there seems to be a lot of buy-in also that the idea has to be validated, tested, and refined. How did that come to be? How was that actually created?
Yeah. I had a colleague of mine, you guys know Gretchen, right? I think she was a pioneer to bring A B testing first time into the program. Meaning A B testing in the printing space was a very new concept. Nobody was doing it. We were selling boxes. So we had to drive a paradigm shift. So Gretchen was a pioneer in that space. So it started with establishing belief in the organization with senior leadership, with management around the benefits of A/B testing. So it started there. Let's establish a process. Let's do tests. Let's see the benefits. And over time, as tests started to prove out, as we showed business benefit, as we drove conversion rates, enrollees, customer lifetime values, right? The belief in the organization started to form around every idea needs to be tested. We made some large bets, which had been tested in bits, but not in totality. And then we had some learnings around it where we said, if only we had tested this before, we could have done it a little bit differently. So a lot of retrospection on some of the big things we did, which reinforced the need for multiple levels of testing. A basic resonance check. Does it even kind of stick on the wall? Statistical significant test. Does it resonate with a large group of customers? Multi-market test. Will it stick across all the worldwide?
Yeah.
So I think it took us time, but it started with establishing an A/B testing process, showing short-term results to the organization through benefits, and then over time instituting that culture of saying every idea is a good idea, but it needs to be tested.
It's a humbling thing, right? Like I think you always think you have great ideas and there's so many unintended effects. And I don't say that in a way to be fear mongering and scary, but it is really true. If you start doing this enough times, you start seeing enough experiments, there's the ones you think, oh, that definitely will work. And it has that
Mhm.
unintended thing, or there's a nuance and a wrinkle in it that you need to solve for, which is always
Mhm.
fascinating. Okay. I think you kind of mentioned different business models, different markets. HP has obviously tried different touch points too. What did that look like?
For us, a lot of evolution happened on our digital touch points and journeys, right? Both from expanding the touch points to improving the touch points in isolation, right? We started with a flagship printer setup. Over time, we went into smart app, which we call smart digital experiences. HP has a smart app where millions of customers engage every day. Right? The monthly active users are phenomenal. We had presence there, and then we would win a click from the customer around instant inks preference, and then do targeted and camps and segmented offers. I print 20 pages a month over the last 12 months, and I print a lot of photos. So this offer is right for me. So we expanded a lot of presence through smart app and digital campaigns. We have a flagship experience on our web property called instanting.com. All the worldwide marketing campaigns, traffic, onboarding traffic comes to instanting.com, and we have a full enrollment funnel there. Do a lot of optimizations there, right? From, like I said, from landing page optimizations on what we communicate and how we communicate, to the full blown end to end enrollment funnel, how to reduce steps, how to reduce time, how to win clicks over. So you think of it as a blend of messaging, marketing testing, coupled with traditional conversion rate optimization, coupled with checkout optimization, if you will.
I kind of also think there's some great stories with the big decisions you've had to make with times. I know one of the ideas we had, maybe like a story, even Alex, maybe you can tee this one up a little bit, was the idea with like free trial.
Yeah, we had introduced the free trial. I think it's still offered quite widely within the program, but it does depend on the actual touch point and where the customer is at in their experience as well. Because a lot of the times when people come to the Instant Ink landing page, they're not often presented with a free trial. And we've actually tested introducing a free trial to customers who are just like exploring Instant Ink. And we actually saw the inverse. We actually saw a huge decrease in the number of people actually considering and enrolling in Instant Ink, which was actually a very surprising result when we actually tested it, because it was such a knock out of the park experience for the out of box. But when we went to this other touch point with it, it was a total flop. And if we didn't have the program, it would have been a very tough thing to swallow at the end of the day, especially with the decrease that we saw.
Yeah, and to build on that, we've learned through the hard way, through experimentation, is one size fits all approach is probably, it works in many cases, but in our case, it doesn't. So we always take the pains to make sure that if something worked during printer setup, does it work to a different class of customers on the HP Smart app or our web properties, etc. Right? So to Alex's point, these customers are at different points in their thinking life cycle, etc. And so not everything resonates equally as well across the board. On the free trial, I'll give you one more example, the evolution, right? So like I said, we started with printer setup. We would offer X months of free trial. We tried probably 40 to 50 experiments on how to talk about the free trial. Because free trial comes with a psychological barrier of, oh, there's a catch. At the end of the free trial, I will forget, and then you will keep charging me forever. Right. So while free trial reduces the barrier, it also raises some questions in front of the customer. So we had to battle all those psychology elements that our customers were grappling with to position effectively. So we've tested things like whether elasticity between 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Right. That's one vector of testing. We've tested different positionings. We've gone all the way to what is the difference between a commitment-based trial and a non-committed trial. Meaning, there's a free trial where you need to fully enroll. You need to provide your shipping, your billing, etc., and commit to the service. To what if the free trial truly was just give me your shipping address, I will send you our inks, and then you have 3 months to try me. And if you like us, give your payment information, and we'll be on our merry way. So that whole spectrum of how much a customer needs to commit towards a free trial, we've explored that spectrum in its entirety to reduce as many barriers and as much friction as possible. And one example where it works out is think if you're doing printer setup, you love the free trial, but it's like, oh, I don't know where my credit card is. Oh my God, my husband has my credit card. I don't have the numbers. We wanted to reduce those barriers, right? So we moved to a non-commitment free trial, making payment methods optional, etc. All of these uh, tactics of experimentation on a free trial was powered by A/B testing. All of these were where we together we would ideate around customers, what they're telling us, and where the friction points are. And then we would go and say, hey, how about if we test a free trial where the payment method is optional? And that comes a test idea. And we go and design an experience. We see the onboarding rates for the free trial. We see the free trial retention rates. We like what we see. We scale it, right? So it's a great example of a simple concept for a free trial. You can use experimentation effectively to actually find for different audiences, for different kinds of approaches to reducing friction. It's not, like I said, it's not just one little thing. It actually, when you think about it, it balloons into tens or hundreds of tests, right? If you once you to for you to get it right.
Definitely. Tons of refinement and nuances, feels like all the time. Maybe then that brings us to a nice point too to talk about. I think we kind of go through this journey of we find that instant ink is valuable, people want it. We then find a way to grow it through your own HB touch points. Stefan, I think this is where the story gets very fascinating too as we build this out is, and maybe I'll even let you tee this up because I think you do a really good job with completing these the value story, the value proposition.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. Yeah. So here we are. We have consumers who are interested in printing. They buy a great printer. They buy ink that is technologically advanced to dry very fast, to print really well, to be vibrant and everything else. But then we leave the rest for you to figure out on your own. And what you need to do to print is you need three things. You need a printer, you need ink, and you need paper. And the idea of origami or the paper add-on service came about of we need to complete this flywheel. We need to complete the printing experience because we're giving you a great printer. We're giving you a great service so that you really don't have to worry about running out of ink. But paper, you figure it out. It's like we're doing have one foot in one camp and one foot in the other camp. And the introduction of the paper add-on service became a natural completion of the printing experience for the consumers to increase the value to them, which then spins the value of, oh, Instant Ink now is complete. I get my ink and paper. And then back to a comment I made earlier, it was now that this printer offers ink and paper, I really love this printer. And it just comes with everything I need and allows me to never have to worry about printing. I can finally worry about what I want to do with that printing, which is really the job to be done. Other things that came in building this paper service is you run out of paper just as much as you run out of ink, right? So that frustration still exists. I would say even more so because ink can really only use ink for printing, but paper, the world is your oyster. You want to have an airplane paper war? Go for it. You want to doodle? Go for it. Arts and craft? Go for it. So paper is really used in much more varied ways than ink. And so therefore, having a service that allows you to, again, don't worry about it. Don't worry about this paper. We'll take care of it. And then the last thing, which goes to the flywheel is, at the end of the day, how does the consumer judge a printer? Well, okay, I can look in the box, but I'm really not going to see anything. Sure, you can say it prints 100 million sheets per minute. Okay, that's one performance metric. But at the end of the day, is when you get that great printout, it's, wow, that looks great. That what I had on my picture, what I had built and designed, this looks great. That's when you start feeling the value of ink and the printer. And so that completes the flywheel of I am all taken care of. I've got the best of everything and I don't have to worry about it. So that's how the paper add-on service came about in building it out the right way for our consumers.
Originally, though, paper was seen as too expensive to ship, was it not? Like, how did the perception with that change, or how did the mindset shift that this could be even like a possible thing to do?
It is expensive to ship, but at the end of the day, the value that you get out of not worrying about running out, because one thing that's maybe not very visible, but there are multiple users of a printer, and so my kids you print, my wife prints, right, and so everybody prints. I don't know what they print, I don't know when they print, and so I don't really keep track of my paper until I run out. I'm like, okay, what happened? I used to have 300 sheets and all of a sudden it's gone. The convenience is really a key factor. And yes, it may be expensive, but we made it very affordable for consumers using the same model as ink, where on a monthly basis you pay a fee and then we'll take care of everything else.
I find the paper add-on fascinating. Just like instant ink, it's something new. Getting a paper subscription is a very different type of model that someone has. How did you go about starting with, is this something we should do? How do we actually validate the idea?
You start just like every other company does, we're saying, okay, I'll take my existing, I'll take consumers. And first is, how do you feel about subscriptions? Because as the paper add-on service came about, subscriptions became more and more of a thing. So how do you feel about subscriptions? What role do they play in your life? What are they not really supposed to do for you, or et cetera, et cetera. Then you do all kinds of surveys. Again, very traditional. The problem with surveys is at the end of the day, you can ask Stefan, hey, Stefan, do you want a Ferrari? Sign me up. But now, is Stefan really going to pay for a Ferrari? That's a different story. And so what really made a difference for this program, in building this program, is working with you guys and doing A/B testing where people are actually signing up for the paper add-on service, even though it didn't really exist at the time, and say, I am willing to pay the 79 cents, the $1.99 for this service because this speaks to me. This does what I need it to do. I don't have to worry about paper. And so that type of A/B testing where people are actually putting money on the line is so much more powerful to validate an idea and say it's got legs, because 40% of people are signing up. Even though they may say it, they're actually doing it. And that really unlocked and started the process for us. Okay, we've got to build this. And so this insight work, just traditional stuff, but the A/B testing really helped concretize. We've got something here that consumers love. Let's go for it.
And then maybe Alex, to add on that, like, how do you actually go about like even designing an experiment that tries to give you that type of insight?
It's tricky because you often have to pull apart the hypothesis and the actual execution of it. And we worked closely with Stefan and team, and it wasn't just one go, it was multiple goes over multiple months before we got to a place where it would work with customers. We had the insights, but it was also a matter of integrating it with the other products that existed within Instant Ink, right? The core product is ink. And when you introduce this new concept, it can be a friction point. And so it did take a number of tries to actually introduce it. To Stefan's point, the service didn't even exist before. We had to actually go and prove the business case for it to the team. And so we had to prove that it had legs first before it even existed. And so that involves a lot of very early exploratory work, often using painted doors to actually gauge user interest, making sure that we're not actually harming customer sentiment or affecting their experience, while helping to inform these larger strategic decisions that the business is making.
Was there any challenges you faced once you validated that the paper subscription was a good idea, in terms of actually then taking it to market and making it work with the existing offering around Instant Ink?
So yeah, a couple of things. Back to a comment that Sabra made earlier is, it's one thing to validate the idea, but then it's at what point do you introduce the idea? Does it become a fighting for attention? Is it an add-on? Is it a complete package? At what point do you do it at the very end of the UB process, or do you do it earlier? So all that also had to be worked out. At the same time, now that we know that there is a space for this, there is a ask from consumers, then let's really take it to market. And so we built a community of taking Instant Ink subscribers and bringing them into a very closed loop community for 6 months, where they actually got to experience the service, where Stefan got to ship hundreds of reams each and every day, packaging them into boxes, putting the FedEx labels, and fulfilling over time is their legs. There's legs at the beginning, but is there legs over time? So that's why we did a long-term pilot. And then throughout that community is keep pinging them about, okay, how was it delivered? Did it come in full shape? Was it damaged? So that we can check on, is FedEx doing their job? But as well as, were you delighted by the experience? When you opened it, was it like, oh, this is great? Or like, so always testing every single part of the experience with consumers through that pilot of 6 months to get it right. So a lot of iteration, a lot of learning for those 6 months. And then after that, you continue to optimize with A/B testing. And back to a point that was made earlier, it's one thing to optimize the Ruby process, but then now you need to start opening up to all the other touch points. And when do you introduce the paper add-on service? How do you do it? How succinctly? How long form do you do it? Video and all that needs to do A/B testing to get it right, because again, we don't want one service to overshadow the other. We want the services to complement each other, but also we want to get people to sign up, efficiently, and not create, oh my God, one more question. Oh no, one more choice. Let's make it seamless. So a lot of A/B testing to get us to where we are today.
Sovereign, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I want to emphasize Stefan's point. This took instant paper service took experimentation to the next level. So not only was a charter to grow instant paper subscriber base, but also to grow in a way to maybe either protect the instant ink or even grow instant ink. So both boats needed to grow together. So if you think experimentation, now you have multiple product objectives, and the experimentation team here, conversion, HP together, we've mastered that art of how to look at tests from multiple different lenses and business impact, right? Did instant paper grow? Did instant ink grow? Was the usage life cycle as expected? Was the customer lifetime value happen? So our experimentation program together has gone to the next level with this multi-objective testing, if you will, across multiple product lines. So I feel that's a huge jump that Stefan and Indie kind of conversion took together to get us to a level of sophistication we had never seen before.
Is there any tips, takeaways of how to do that?
Yeah, I would say is you never stop exploring. You need to really turn every stone and essentially check all your assumptions. Every touch point is different. One size fits all doesn't necessarily always work. And if you get a no, I just got a no this week. I got an A/B test that proved not good for the paper add-on service, but great for instant ink. Okay, so what's there? Let's dig into that one. And let's choose just an iterative experimentation on that piece, and just go a little to the side of that experiment and just see what created that hit, and now let's dig into it and iterate from it. And so it's really that curiosity and that iterative process that just helps us move things forward.
Yeah. I would say that even after 7 years of working closely with the team, I am still surprised almost every single week when we are running tests, because a lot of the times there's these very minute details, especially in touch points, that cause completely opposite effects of what we would have expected and what we've seen elsewhere. And so, to the theme earlier, like, one size definitely does not fit all. And so it does require a lot of steps along the way, even just to launch in one market, let alone worldwide.
Yeah, and I'll add to that a little bit. I think to me, the success of the experimentation program between us, right, is the end to end nature of it. We don't go and plan individual tests. we think epics and themes, right? So, meaning we start with a business problem, we talk about all the hurdles to the problem, potential hypothesis, and it's a multi month, hundreds of tests kind of a relationship with you guys, right? So, it's almost there's a sense of continuity around the whole space, right? It's not micro per test effort, but hey, look, we need to solve for low usage customers. Or we need to solve for instant paper growing double digits while protecting instant ink. Or we need to solve for high usage customers. So we started that, and that thinking process from strategy, ideation, creative, test, internal. I think that process that we have together is fabulous. Right, number one. Number two, I think we both of us together have done a great job of making each person on the test team very knowledgeable about our customers, right? So through research, through insights, through A/B testing, through HP's other market research, etc., we try to share as much as possible, pretty much everything we know about the customer. So everybody's on the same page and everybody knows what problems we are solving for, etc. So I think to me the key success factor in to drive this level of sophisticated experimentation programs where the business result, as Stefan said, it is not just about one test. It's about moving the business forward in the next direction is grounded in an end-to-end relationship, and then making sure all the involved leads have a common understanding of the customers. That has been fabulous, which I think in my experience this is really a differentiator for HP and conversion together.
Yeah. And if I can add on to that as well, is like a lot of the time when we are like working together on these things, we're focusing on the customer problem rather than trying to push a specific business objective. Because when you are a lot more customer centric that way, you're much more likely to find that elasticity or that like big bet is actually going to hit versus, hey, we got to launch this thing. Like, how can we make it work? And so that constant orientation in the eyes of the customer and using them to guide the decisions that we're making, that I think has been one of the most powerful things that I've seen within the program as well.
Nice. I want to take the big thank you to all three of you. Thank you so much for giving us the time to do this. Very interesting to go through all this and greatly appreciated. Awesome one to get to dive into.
Thank you for the partnership. Phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
It's been fantastic.
Thanks, everyone.